Way too many church members, including some of our very own church members right here at Canton Baptist Temple, come every week to church with the mindset, what can I get out of church today, instead of what can I give to my church today. You came today either with a get mindset or a give mindset, right? And week after week, I'm afraid that too many of us come to church with that mindset of what can I get instead of what can I give? What can I contribute? More often than not, most of us come to church focused on our wants and our needs, when in reality, we need to come to church focused on serving others and meeting the needs of others. I'm hoping through this series of messages that you'll realize that really what we're doing here this morning is not all about you.
Right.
Get over yourself.
Amen.
It's about God.
Amen.
It's about others. Philippians chapter 2, verse 3 and 4. The Apostle Paul writes, "Let nothing be done through strife or vainglory, but in lowliness of mind let each esteem other better than themselves. Look not every man on his own things, but every man also on the things of others." The Apostle Paul, under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit, is writing these words to members of the local church in the city of Philippi. You say, why do you mention that? I'm saying that because he is challenging them to get their focus off of themselves and on to others. And by the way, that statement needs to be understood within a local church context. He's writing under the inspiration of the Holy Spirit to the local church at Philippi, but here we have God's inspired word in our hands today, and in a sense we can say that these verses have been written for us. They have been written for the local church, the Canton Baptist Temple, right here in Canton, Ohio. Now, even though these words were written almost 2,000 years ago, what Paul is saying is applicable to you and to me, because I am reminded over and over again that throughout the centuries, the mindset of members in churches really hasn't changed that much. These words that were no doubt very appropriate for the members of the church at Philippi are very appropriate for all of us here today. What the members at that church struggled with is exactly what the members of churches all across America are struggling with today. You ask, preacher, what are most members struggling with? Well, if I were to reduce it down to one statement, it would be this. Most members struggle with the false assumption that church is all about them. That's what they struggle with. That statement should be up on the screen there. The false assumption that church is all about us. You see, most members come to church with the I want mindset, or what we often call the consumer mindset. But I want you to look back at these two verses. I want us to break them down, and then I want to talk to you here this morning about how we can go from being an I want member to a I will member. Look at those two verses again. Paul begins by describing the I want member. Here it is, two words. The word strife and the word vainglory. Now that word strife carries with it the idea of being a contentious person, being an argumentative person. It describes a member who is never happy about anything. It's referring to that member who is critical and negative about everything that's happening in the church. They're constantly creating tension within the church because they are people of strife. If church is always about what you want, then you're going to be the source of a lot of strife in the church. So notice the very first characteristic of an I want member in a church is that they are characterized by strife. Number two, vainglory. Vainglory is the direct result of arrogant pride. A person who is consumed with vainglory has an extremely exaggerated view of themselves. Now, this word refers to a member who has an inflated self-image and actually thinks that he is always right all the time about everything. Have you ever met somebody like that? Don't point fingers. Individuals who think that they are always right about everything all the time. But then I want you to notice Paul shifts gears in the middle of verse 3, and he begins to describe the I will member. The I want member characterized with strife and vainglory, but then he shifts to the I will member. Notice the first characteristic, lowliness of mind. Simply put into one word, that means humility. Humility. Do you realize that humility is a choice? It's a choice. Today we should say, I will be humble. I will be humble. If we are characterized with pride, church will be reduced to being all about us. And the result will be what? Strife and vainglory. But if we are characterized by humility, church will be about God and it will be about others.